comitato organizzatore, è molto lieto di avere qui con noi, come tutta Efpa Italia, Jean-Paul Servet, Chair of CISR Investor Protection and Intermediaries Standing Committee, nonché Chairman of CBFA, Belgian Financial Regulator, che parlerà sul crescente impatto della MiFID sul processo di pianificazione finanziaria. Prego, Mr. Servet.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, allow me to say that it's a real pleasure for me to be here in Roma tonight for your conference. And I would like also to thank European Association for the quality and also the success of this conference. And I think that the best way to check that is to see how many people are still attending the conference at the end of the first day. So it's a good test. And it means also that more and more people, more and more decision makers, more and more regulators are involved in discussion which could be interesting for your business as, if I may say, financial planners. And I have to confess from this point of view that your invitation, your kind invitation, arrived in due time, just in time, because as you know, national regulators, European regulators are more and more discussing about financial planning. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? It depends on the view of everybody. But I think that we can say it's a good thing for you because I have been told, and I think that I'm not wrong when I say that your profession is demanding for more, I would say, for more stages, for a better framework in order to have a better level playing field, not only at national level, of course, but also all around Europe. And that's maybe also the objective, and we share the same point of view as European regulator. And that's therefore the reason why you ask to a representative of CISR, the European Network of Securities Regulator and regulator in charge for MiFID and rule of conduct, to tell you some aspect about the state of the art. That's the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to tackle in 30 minutes 4 major aspects. First of all, who are we? It's maybe not bad to tell you what we are doing at European level, because I fully understand that not everybody is involved in the discussion about the evolution of the European architecture of supervision in a day-to-day basis. Some comments about the famous concept of investment advice, which is absolutely important for you as professional investment advice, because that's the starting point in order to test if you can fall in the scope of the so-called European regulation MiFID, and maybe to tell you what we are trying to do with the support of the European Commission in order to have an assessment of the current definition, and I think it's important as far as the level playing field is concerned. Some aspect of the so-called PRIPS, it means the same kind of information for the same kind of instrument, product, which are sold through the same channels, banking, securities, and insurance product. And last but not least, some proposal, reflection, which can be shared with you, of course, in a question time about the challenge for financial advisors and planners. First of all, maybe, and I hope that this slide is not too shocking because it's a bit quite complicated, what's the situation at European level about the so-called financial architecture? As you maybe know, at the present time, all regulators, all European regulators coming from 27 member states of the Union have to work at the level of 3 networks. What does it mean, networks? It means that we know each other, we try to speak the same language, a rather bad technical language, as you can see, but also we develop standards, and I think that I may say, after 10 years of experience of certain networks, that our staff are able to implement the same kind of approach, at least in all the aspects which has been regulated at European level. in the assessment of the post-crisis agenda arrived in 2007, 2008, it was decided to go a little bit further on in order to establish two new layers of, I would say, in the new European architecture. First of all, a so-called macro-prudential supervision, and you know that the link, the operational link between the macro and the micro-prudential supervision was something which has been pinpointed during the crisis in order to establish a new European Systemic Risk Board to be led by the chairman of the European Central Bank. The objective of the first, I would say, layer devoted to macroprudential supervision is to gather, to provide, to analyze, and to try to see much more link between information arriving at macroprudential supervision and all aspects relating to microprudential supervision. This architecture had just been decided, adopted at European level 2 months ago. It was a major challenge for the current Belgium chairmanship of presidency of the EU Council, the ECOFIN Council of European Minister of Economic Affairs, and I can tell you it was a real challenge to have an agreement between the European Commission, 27 member states and 600 MPs, members of the European Parliament, but it was successful, and the objective will be, starting from the 1st of January 2001, to implement this new law. It already exists at the present time as a network. That's the reason why the Belgian supervisory body I have the pleasure, the honor to chair, is member at this time of the 3 current networks, and maybe you know them, CESAR, which is the network of the regulator in charge for MiFID regulation, investor protection, supervision of information provided by listed company. The banking area is covered by CEPS. The premises of CEPS are in London, CEPS CESAR in Paris, and CEOPS in Frankfurt. It's the network of supervisor in charge for insurance and pension. The objective is to switch the system of network to a new system, the so-called system of the European agency. Like, for instance, is it a good or bad comparison? I don't know. But I think something new about the quality of European street, like the European Space Agency and other agencies which are very well known in Italy, like this located in Parma for the food quality. So the same statute will be switched to the current network, and as far as starting from the 1st of January 2011, it means that CESAR will be switched in a new agency. CESAR, it will switch to ESMA. The same for CEPS, which will be renamed, rebranded as EBA, and last but not least, EOPA. What does it mean? It means, for instance, that we will have a full-time chairman. We will have a board in charge of adopting technical standards, which will be applied in all member states, and for which there will be a required implementation at all levels without any question about subjective qualification implementation. It's, I can tell you, a new world for supervisor, that we have the possibility to adopt at a so-called qualified majority regulatory standard, which will be binding standards for the regulators, for the national regulators, but also for the profession which can be interested, involved in implementing such standards. Last but not least, but of course I would have to tell you a lot of things, and it's not possible in 30 minutes to tell you that. There are also new aspects relating to the possibility of the new European agency to have a so-called overriding statute in order to replace a national agency in crisis situation, emergency situation, where it appears that the national agency is not able to fulfill its work. So we have a tough, I would say, incentive in order to have the same approach about the implementation of the European law, new supervisory tools. That's for the framework, and I think that I may say, as far as the financial planners are concerned, most of the job will be performed at the level of ESMA, because ESMA is in charge of preparing a lot of new supervisory tools to give advice and then to implement tools about all aspects relating to MiFID. That's for the future. At the present time, you know, I presume, the situation. What does it mean, MiFID, for you? as financial planners, it means, yes, do I think that I am fulfilling, that I am giving an investment advice? That's the starting point of the European regulation relating of MiFID, that's Article 4. And what does it mean? It means three things. In investment advice, according to the European regulation, the MiFID regulation is first of all a provision of personal recommendation to a client, either upon his request or at the initiative of investment fund, and last but not least, very important for the qualification of an advice as investment advice in respect of one or more transactions relating of financial structure. What does it mean? If it appears that you are giving such an investment advice, you will fall in the scope of the MiFID regulation. Maybe some additional word of explanation about the three parts of this very important definition. First of all, what does it mean, a personal recommendation? It means, with other words, a recommendation presented as suitable for that person, or based on a consideration of the sequence of that person, and not issued necessary exclusive proof distribution of channels or to the public, and this is one of the major parts of the current discussion of the MiFID review, because we are discussing a review of the current MiFID regulation 3 years after it has been implemented at the end of 2007. Transaction, very, very broad definition, what it means: buy, sell, subscribe for, exchange, redeem, hold on other right in a particular financial instrument, including as a result of exercise any right conferred by a particular financial instrument. It seems to be quite easy